Yesterday's Respond to the Call day of service started with, for me, with a 7 a.m. trip to Shoppers to buy the groceries for the morning breakfast. I was buying the breakfast food while Jana ran down to Paul's place to get the last load of clothes and supplies, just to be sure we kept our team of clothes sorters busy, because they work fast. So I got my groceries, I got donuts and bagels and clementines to make sure I hit all the essential food groups. Rang them up at the self-checkout, left the store, and was walking across the parking lot to my truck when I heard a voice behind me saying, "Good morning." At first, I thought that the good morning might have been meant for someone else, or maybe someone was on the other end of a phone call. But it came again. "Good morning," with just a little more cheerful urgency. When I got to the truck, I turned to see that a woman was approaching me with a big old smile on her face and a brochure in her hand. She couldn't have been more pleasant. Just the right touch, early on a Saturday morning. "Good morning," she says. "Good morning," I said. "Did you know," she said, "if you're ever confused by things in this life, that the Bible is still as relevant today as it was when it was written?" "Yeah," I said, "I really do believe that. I do believe that." "Oh, good," she said. Then I said, "But I'm really in a hurry," which in this case was true. Sometimes it's not true when I say I'm really in a hurry. "Oh, of course, sir," she said, "but here's a little pamphlet that talks about the Bible. Take it, please." "Sure," I said, "thanks." "And you," she said, "you have a wonderful day." Almost as if she was pronouncing a benediction. Then she turned and walked away back to a group of people that were waiting for her in the parking lot, who seemed to be preparing for a day of evangelism, the old-fashioned way, door to door, with one of these. The Kingdom, the Watchtower, announcing Jehovah's kingdom. The Watchtower, announcing Jehovah's kingdom. The Watchtower is a pamphlet commonly distributed door to door by a religious group known as Jehovah's Witnesses, and I imagine many of you have heard of them. They take their faith very seriously, mostly because one of their core beliefs is the literal interpretation of the book of Revelation, chapter 7 and chapter 14, both of which say that only 144,000 people will get to heaven when Jehovah returns. So the stakes are high for the Jehovah's Witnesses to take their religion seriously. That is what gives them the courage to knock on doors on a Saturday morning, to refuse to say the Pledge of Allegiance as children, and to not sing, by the way, the national anthem. And yes, to spend most of their Saturday mornings getting dressed up, going door to door, introducing as many people as they can to a God who requires a lot when it comes to how to live one's life. I heard that it takes about 6,972, give or take, knocks on the door to get one convert on the average. For Jehovah's Witnesses, and for others too, the urgency of their action is a function of their belief in the severity of the afterlife. The stakes are high. Now, any of you who are moviegoers may take the opportunity over the next 2 weeks to see a film called The Children Act, which is a film about a Jehovah's Witness family in Great Britain, whose son needs a blood transfusion in order to live. The tension arises because among the things the Jehovah's Witnesses believe is that blood transfusions are not good. And one of the things on the books in the law of Great Britain is that the law steps in to care for children when they feel the parents are not. There's a lot at stake here. because their God requires a lot of them. Now, I don't mention the grocery store encounter to disparage the Jehovah's Witnesses by any means. If anything, I admire their ethic of cheerful obedience. My brief visit at 7 yesterday morning couldn't have been more pleasant. But what I did find interesting yesterday, and interesting enough to ask Keisha to change the reading for the morning, what I found interesting is that only an hour and a half after that encounter in the supermarket parking lot, a group of us were circled up in the gathering space here at church, preparing ourselves to go out and work in the community on a Saturday morning in honor of Lizzie Wadio and all the other victims of September 11th and the attacks. And we read the scripture that Keisha just read for us. What does the Lord require of you? Is the question asked by the prophet. And after a lot of things are proposed that the Lord does not require, the answer is the one some of us know by heart. Do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with your God. We heard that scripture, and then we went out and we did what we truly believe the Lord requires of us: to fold and to weed and to mow and to hang drywall and to sort and to organize as our way of making this world a better place. Meanwhile, the Jehovah's Witnesses were busy doing what they believe God requires of them to make this world a better place, knocking on doors one at a time. Not only did I see that group at Shoppers at 7 a.m., I also saw a large group of evangelists in Halethorpe on my way to the dump, with a truck filled with the fruit of many people's labor. They were dressed in their best, smiling and laughing their way down the street, asking people when the last time it was that they had read the Bible. Did they know that it was still relevant? Now, there are a lot of differences between the Christian church, disciples of Christ, and the Jehovah's Witnesses. But one thing we had in common yesterday morning is that we were both out on the streets because we both believe that the Lord does indeed require something of us. Hear me clearly. Our God is a God who loves us unconditionally. We can't do anything to get to heaven because that's a promise for all of us. But hear Micah just as clearly. Our God is a God who expects something of us, who requires something of us. Eric Fromm is a social psychologist who wrote a book called The Art of Loving. And in that book he says this: the healthiest people I have known are those people who often grow up in the most natural way. They are the ones who, between their two parents and early authority figures, experience the combination of unconditional love along with very conditional and demanding love. We all need grown-ups who will say one of two things to us: you can never do anything that would cause me to stop loving you, and doing nothing is not an option. Fromm would say that we need both. The parent who is thrilled with their child's B-, and the one who says, let's look at the ones you got wrong. We need both the kindly grandparents in the stand who think we can do no wrong on the field or on the stage. You were the best one out there. And the coach who knows we can do better and gets in our face because of that. God requires something of us, all of us. But that then begs the question, what does God require? Therein lies the rub, as Hamlet would say. We don't have specifics, do we? The Bible does not say whether it's better to go around the neighborhood trying to introduce people to Jesus or to go downtown to build a raised flower bed in a vacant lot. Both of those things are mentioned in the Gospel of Matthew. Go out 2 by 2 is why the Jehovah's Witnesses go. And Matthew also says, feed the hungry. No book in the Bible really to guide us on that one. But here in Micah is one of the best suggestions we have in the Bible about what God requires of us. To do justice, to love kindness, to walk humbly. Whether we spend our Saturday mornings distributing pamphlets about Jesus, or folding clothes to be given to folks who would otherwise not have them, or watching our kids play soccer, or doing the grocery shopping, or standing in the line at airport security, or opening our front door and being greeted by a Jehovah's Witness, do justice, love kindness, walk humbly, is what the Lord requires of us. God that we believe in will love us even if we aren't able to do those things as well as we wish we could. But the God we believe in requires all of us to try. And